Got leftover fabric scraps? Let's turn them into a stunning quilt-as-you-go table runner. It's going to be quick, easy, and beautiful. Hi friends, today I'm going to be making the final table runner for our women's church breakfast. I'm going to be using 2-inch fabric strips. It's a quilt-as-you-go project and it goes together really fast. I can't wait to show you how easy this is going to be. It's going to be a great way to use up your scraps and create something beautiful. Let's get started. First, we're going to prepare the base. The base is simply the batting and the backing fabric. I didn't quite have enough of the backing, and all I did is I sewed 2 pieces of it together since it's going to be quilted anyway, so it'll be just fine. I cut each piece just a little larger than 36 by 12. So that's my target goal size of the table runner is 36 by 12. So I have a piece of batting here that I've already pre-cut. And here's the backing. Isn't that pretty? So you just layer the backing fabric right side down and place the batting on top. Then you're going to need some fabric strips. I just took all the 2-inch strips I could find from the last 2 projects and connected them into one long strip that I cut into 12.5 to 13-inch strips because I'm going to be trimming them down to 12 inches. But you can see here we have just a variety of strips, and you can see how I just sewed them all together. So just get about 56 strips. You'll need some binding if you're going to be putting a binding on your quilt, and this will be a first time for me, so we'll see how this goes. I simply used one of these binding makers, and this one was a 1-inch, and we're going to give this a go, but it's 1 inch, and then I just folded it in so that it's like this. And then I made this 106 inches, so hopefully that will work. And if you don't want to do a binding, you could always do junk gal style, where you sew a zigzag all the way around and then trim with your pinking shears or your rotary cutter with the pinking blade. That would work fine too. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to start in the center. And you can already see where it's overlapping here and overlapping here, and that's fine. And this is so easy. Then you'll just take your next strip, lay it on top, line it up the best you can. As you can see, I did not cut very well. And then we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance right here, and then that will flip open. And that will be our first strip. I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back. I'm back from the sewing machine, and then we're simply going to flip this just like that. We already have some beautiful patchwork going. If you want, you can press it with an iron. I'm just going to use my pressing tool here and press that down. I'm ready for my next strip. I'm just going to lay that right on there. I'm not even pinning, but if you wanted to pin, you could. I'm back to the sewing machine to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We've got another strip on, and I'm simply going to pull that over Give it a quick press. And we're not worried about the stuff on the end because this is all going to get trimmed. As you can see, it is automatically quilted on the back. Hopefully you can see the stitching. I'm going to continue this process, and then when I get over to this side, I'll come back and show you, and then we'll finish it up. We'll put that binding on there. Look, everyone, this side is done. It didn't take any time at all, and then I just have this side to do. We'll be ready to trim it up. But look how scrappy it looks, and it's quilted already on the back. I may do some stitches, maybe 2 stitches in the center, but otherwise this takes no time at all, and I'll be able to trim according to what I need to. Let's finish up this half and finish up this project. I just sewed on my last strip. And remember, this is so easy if you have strips or just scraps. It is a simple 1/4 inch seam allowance. You flip it up and then just lay another one on top. And actually I have all these strips left over, so we'll put those to the side. I'll get my iron going so I can give this a good press before I trim it. But isn't it pretty? So pretty. And some variations for this would be to maybe do 3-inch strips and then a 2-inch strip and a 1-inch strip. I think that would add some texture to this piece. And the back is already quilted, and once I get this pressed, then I'll go ahead and do a quilt line here and a quilt line here. Let me go ahead and get this pressed and I'll be right back. There we have it. We have this all pressed. And I just have to figure out where I want my stitch line in the back. I think I'll just eyeball it. If you wanted, you could use a marking pen, and we'll just line that up to the top and make a mark. I think about right there. And I know that my backing piece is straight. And I think my marker is out of, but it should be okay because I see where it's making an indent, and that's just fine too. I just want an idea. It's now quilted. And I'm just going to line up on my ruler. I can see these marks and they match because I know that backing is straight. So I'm just going to trim from that. We'll trim the other side. And again, I'll find 2 matching marks. That's trimmed up. The best part of doing a quilt project like this is when you get it all trimmed up. And I'm just going to line up with my fabric here. And trim that. Bring this down. Line up at the top. And come over. That looks pretty good. We'll get this side. And this is all trimmed up. And look how pretty. Now we have to tackle the binding. Grab some pins. And I do know that this binding, the raw edge has to be on the edge like that. So if I open this up like this raw edge goes on the edge so that I can sew it on the fold, and then I'll bring it over to the back and sew from the back. Again, we're going to line this edge up with the edge of the table runner. And instead of pins, I may try clips. And I think I'll bring this down because this is where it begins. Because eventually we're going to have to connect that. So I'm just going to clip as such, just like this. See how that is? And we're going to sew on that folded line. And we'll see how this goes. And then when I get to the end, I know that I have to veer off to the side, cut my thread, and then flip this up. Like this, it'll be like that. I'm going to stop a 1/4 inch from the edge and flip this up. And come back and start sewing again. Like that. There are lots of tutorials out there, but if you would like me to do a tutorial just on binding, just let me know. I'll consult with my friend Carol before I give you any instruction because this is my first time. All right, let me do this and I'll be right back. I'm back from the sewing machine, putting on my binding, and I think I did okay. There's the corners. So all we need to do is flip it to the back, clip it, and sew it on. That was actually pretty easy. I'm not gonna lie, if I can do it, you can do it. And there's what the front looks like. So I really like that. And we're just gonna have to sew really close to that edge. And we'll be done. So let me get everything clipped. I did want to see how my corner turned out. I was a little worried about the corner. But I'm pretty proud of myself. Is it perfect? No, not at all. I didn't even cut this to a bias. But we'll work on that later. All right, and there's my corner. So I'm just gonna bring that side in. Right there. And then I'll just fold that down, and I think that'll be a nice mitered corner. Look at that. All right, let me get the rest of this done. I do have a short devotional for you today, actually. So let me get this done, and I'll be right back. It's time to celebrate. I did my first binding, but there were some issues. The back looks awesome. Got some strings here. But you go to the front, and it looks like I was totally crooked. So I wonder if I'm supposed to start from the front and then fold to the back instead of the way I did it. So you quilters out there, let me know, because there's some spots here that I didn't catch. But I think it looks gorgeous. I really like it. Not bad for my first strip table runner. How about a quick devotional before I go? Today's Bible verse is Psalm 90:17 from the King James Version. And let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands upon us. Every stitch we sew is a reflection of creativity gifted by God. Just as these fabric strips come together to create something beautiful, so does our faith, piece by piece. Through every joy and every trial, may this project remind you and me that God takes all the pieces of our lives and stitches them together for His glory. Keep creating, keep believing. If you love quick and easy scrap fabric projects like this one, be sure to check out my Scrap Fabric Prairie Point Table Runner video for another beautiful way to use up your stash. And until the next video, God bless you.